Left Hook is a left-wing combatives and combat sports club, making sure that people are prepared to defend themselves and able to defend themselves if they face threats from either the state or from fascists.
Ban all Muslim.
I would temporarily halt Muslim immigration to this country.
What you've witnessed this week by the media and the establishment is fear. They fear this. They fear a movement that can be politicised across this country.
You will not replace us. You will not replace us.
Breaking news, terror in Charlottesville. Chaos in the streets as a car plows into a crowd of people.
Pools of blood all over the ground, people screaming. I've never seen such a horrific, blatant racist attack in my entire life.
I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either.
Number 60,000 Polish nationalists marched through Warsaw. White nationalists and fascists screamed "Pure Poland, White Poland," and "Refugees get out."
Far-right candidate Jair Bolsonaro, who won 55% of the vote, has been elected Brazil's next president.
I'm a nationalist, okay? I'm a nationalist. Nothing.
Hail Trump! Hail our people! Hail victory!
Brighton AntiFascists. We're an independent group of working class militants who are very much opposed to the rise of fascism. It's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, our tactics are pretty obvious. We favour direct action over kind of more legalistic approaches.
Our first aim is to prevent the marches from happening. The second, if we fail to do that, is to prevent them from marching through a community. And the third, if we fail to do that, is to contain them. So when we failed that third objective, you see fascists are wandering around, frequenting the local facilities, drinking the local pubs, abusing the locals. If we're there to contain them, even by whatever means that takes form, they're not able to have free roam in the community, and they direct their abuse to us primarily then, rather than the local minorities.
So whatever we can do to stop them from being able to do that, to make them have a shit day, to make them go home thinking, that was rubbish, why would I go on that again? That's the aim.
So my name is Jacob Berkson. I'm, what about me? I'm an ex-philosopher and now mostly spend my time trying to think about ways to undermine the UK border. Somebody said to me the other day, everyone's an anti-fascist. Who isn't a fascist? I thought that's kind of nice. Brighton AntiFascists are particularly astonishingly on it, I think. But yeah, I think it's also, I mean, just at the heart of fascism, I think, is racism, ultimately, I think. A kind of idea that says, you and yours come first.
Over the last sort of 20 years, sort of early 2000s, you had the war on terror, you had the mainstream media and the mainstream political class coming out with really, really sort of, aggressive Islamophobic rhetoric, scapegoating Muslims. 2008, you have a big financial crisis, caused by the banks. The people who are made to pay for that crisis are normal working people. It's no wonder that you see a rise in the far right when the far right can sort of come and say, look, things are getting worse for everyone. We've got austerity, we've got cuts to public services, your wages are going down, you're unemployed, you can't get council house, whatever. It's not the bank's fault. It's the fault of migrants, it's the fault of refugees, and it's the fault of Muslims.
Everyone mocked Trump rightly for sort of saying, when after Charlottesville, there are good people on fine people, already said, on both sides, very fine people. But we see it a lot, kind of all the time, that equivocation that there must be some mirror of each other between the fascist and the anti-fascist. And, you know, and like so many of these kind of arguments, there's of course grains of truth, but the bit that's right is that, you know, anti-fascism is street-based, working class movement, as is fascism, right? But that's about as far as the similarities go, I think.
Fighting anti-fascists with fascists is nothing new. It's always a simple question, like, is it you know, on one hand you got people that ultimately want to commit some sort of genocide, or either mass repatriation, mass deportation of people, or just physically putting them in concentration camps, depending which flavor you subscribe to. And on the other hand, you got people trying to stop them, and somehow it's like, oh, you know, the guy that is against the gas chambers is really bad. He's almost as bad. He's as bad as a Nazi because he punched him. I mean, if you think that's bad, I mean, fucking hell, wait till you hear about the Second World War, you know?
Like with a lot of the criticisms of anti-fascism, and this one in particular, oh, you're just as bad as each other. Who are the people making those criticisms? They're not the people that are going to come out on the street with us. They're people who are writing for the fucking Guardian or whatever. Like if you know, fascists are marching through Tower Hamlets, the residents of Tower Hamlets aren't going to make that criticism of anti-fascism, and they're the people that I care about. The people that I care about are the communities that we're working with, you know, to defend. I don't really give a shit if some Guardian journalists think I'm as bad as a fascist.
Another reason people don't want to go on these protests is you're putting your body on the line. I mean, it's a violent confrontation often. It's not something I do very often because it's bloody scary. Like,
because fascism has the ultimate aim of even generation identity outwardly say they want an ethno-state, therefore they want to kill or put a certain pocket of society in a certain place. Like they want to exterminate a lot of people.
For us, it is conquer or die.
And that in itself is even just saying that is a violent act. So when we go out on the streets, we are in a self-defense position.
Personally, I'm not particularly into kicking Nazis. What I think is important is that their marches are blocked, and that requires some physicality. They're trying to terrify people, so physically stopping them is a way of protecting communities, protecting individuals. And that turns violent. So yeah, I mean, I think it's completely fine. I mean, I don't know, I'm less happy about the kind of let's just go and punch Nazi stuff. Not that I have too much sympathy for Nazis who get their heads punched, but yeah, I mean, I think it's not, for me, I haven't really thought about it enough. I don't think it's amazing tactically, and I don't know what it achieves, and I think that violence for violence' sake is really problematic and scary.
Right, the act of fascists or far-right people being on the street and intimidating people, trying to hurt people, even just words, even a speech about wanting to exterminate people as the bottom line, that is violence in itself. So when people go out on the streets and block marches and try and defend the community, it is self-defense.
Far right in general will target everyone around you, and that's for example, for many people this is the main reason why they try to hide their identity. It's not because we're not proud of what we're doing, because we are proud of what we're doing, but sometimes showing your face and becoming really well-known person is not the best course of action.
I'd rather not have a male bomb, please.
Important to get involved in politics. You know, we're living in a really alienated time. It's a time of populism and right-wing populism. We've got incredibly high rates of poverty in the UK. Get out there, get involved in your local food bank, get involved in your local renters union, do something, but maintain an anti-fascist edge to that. And what I mean by that is that then when fascists come to your streets, be ready to look for your local anti-fascist group and to defend those streets, and look for other anti-fascist groups around the country and respond to their call-outs. There isn't really a way you can get involved other than just driving somewhere and getting into the demo. It doesn't matter what you wear, what you've read, just defend your streets. We've got a history. And when you look at it, who fought against Mosley, the anti-fascists? Who fought against Hitler, the anti-fascists? Who spilt their blood in Spain against Franco, the anti-fascists? Who fought behind enemy lines in France, the anti-fascists? Who fought in the mountains of Italy against Mussolini, the anti-fascists? Who's defended the communities of England against the National Front at Combat 18, the anti-fascists? Who's fighting against ISIS in Kurdistan as we speak, anti-fascists? When you look at that history and you think, I want to be part of that history. They're obviously on the right side of history.
On the left side.
The left side of history.
Quote at the beginning of the Primo Levi's If This Is a Man, where he says that there's a kind of virus that none of us are immune from, and the virus is to say that anyone who is not my friend is my enemy. We're all susceptible to it, and I guess part of the point of This Is a Man, he says, is when this becomes a creed, when this becomes the way our politics is organised, it leads straight to Auschwitz. And I think he's right.
I always hated bullies. I always hated those that preyed on the weak since I was a little kid, and that didn't change.
I don't know whether I could live with myself, sitting idle, watching people suffer in that way. Oh, getting emotional here. But yeah, I don't know, if I wasn't doing anything, I don't know whether I just couldn't, do you know what I mean? I couldn't watch a whole group of organised fascists go and beat up people and not do anything about it.
Yeah, if we let them get away with it, they're not just going to attack trade unionists on an anti-racist march, they're just going to attack trade union demos. They're going to attack Labour Party meetings, you know.
They already have.
And they already have. That's what's happening at the moment. They've gotten to this level of confidence where they think that they can get away with it, and you've got to put manners on them.
I mean, I'm Jewish, and you know, you grow up with the kind of legends of Cable Street, the 48 group, and these kind of Jewish anti-fascists in the 30s, and then in the 40s, 50s, who were, you know, just you can't come into our areas. That's not going to happen. And if you do, we're going to smash up your soapbox and we're going to drive you out. And I think they were effective anti-fascist tactics.
It's kind of hard to look at the world and be like, oh yeah, it's all going to be peachy and nice, because it's just so complex. And I don't think it's really going to happen. But in the meantime, we can make life bearable for X amount of people and for ourselves. And it would be a life badly spent if I didn't spend it at least part of its time doing something that I believe is right.
Diversity and plurality is the fundamental human good. We're always with others, and those others are always different from us. The only thing that's shared is that we're each an individual, we're each unique, and it's trying to find a way, and we have to be with each other. We have to live with each other. So we have to share a world. We have to find ways of sharing a world. Our worlds are better. I mean, you're filmmakers. I mean, the films of Powell and Pressburger, I think, all of their kind of war pieces have this at their heart, that, you know, fascism is anti-human, and that the human is about chaos and diversity and muddling along and finding ways of living with each other. Sort of come what may. And I share their optimism that, like, in the end, that always has to win out, because it's human. The alternative is robotic and anti-human, and the human, for them, I think, maybe that's their propaganda, but I think it's right. The human can't be destroyed. It can never be utterly obliterated. There's always that possibility of love. I have so much more fun, I think, than any fascist, anyone who's driven by hate and is trying to exclude. You know, we grow and learn when we're open to others. So I think we should try and build societies that are open. For that reason alone, in fact. So yeah, I guess that's the hard way, the moral driving bit.